Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to spend with me on the video. You know, one of my favorite structures to fish, and it has been forever, are bridge piers. Bridge piers are probably some of the most overlooked areas that hold big numbers of fish, and there's a lot of different things that determine how you need to fish a bridge pier and what makes certain bridge piers better than others. So today I sort of want to give you guys a sort of a foundational approach on what to look for and how to fish them and how to decide if a bridge pier is going to be productive or not. So we're going to get into that in today's video. Also guys, quick invitation, just like everybody, to please consider hitting that subscribe button here to The Fishing Teacher. It's free and easy to do so. We also have channel memberships. If you want to go a little bit further, you can be a channel member by going to my homepage here on The Fishing Teacher and hit the join button. Much appreciated for that. And also one more other thing, guys, anyone interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, you can do that by going to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, and just shoot me a private message for details there. Appreciate that. Okay, bridge piers are they're sort of like riprap, guys, in the fact that they are very obvious, they get fished a lot, and they hold a lot of fish. And you can't ever let the fact that a lot of people fish riprap and bridge piers keep you away from fishing it, because probably, in my opinion, guys, they probably attract as many bass or more than most other structures out there. And specifically, I want to give you guys some good foundational advice on how to fish a bridge pier and what to look for, how to decide how to fish it. Now, there has been very few lakes I've ever been to where you can't catch fish on bridge piers. The only lakes that really are not that productive is if you have a dirty water lake. Dirty water lakes usually those fish don't use piers very much. Now they may, say for example, if you got some really shallow bridge piers, like against the bank, yeah, they may use that on a dirty water impoundment, but for the most part, your best bridge piers are going to be on lakes where you have over 3 foot of visibility. Really about 3 to 5 foot of visibility is what I consider perfect for fishing bridge piers, because what happens is the fish, they have the opportunity to use a lot of different depth ranges. When fish are using bridge piers, unless the bridge piers again are against the bank where they're shallower, most of the time those fish are going to be suspended on the piers, unless you have piers that are like in less 5 foot of water. So the cleaner the water that you have, the more opportunities the fish have to suspend at different depths. Now, one of the reasons that piers are really productive is they have a lot of algae and plankton on them. And if you've ever spent much time fishing around a bridge pier, you'll see shad feeding on this algae. You can see it all the time. Those big threadfin and gizzard shad will get up there and they'll eat the algae off of the bridge piers. And also, if you graph much, like between the bridge piers or around it, a lot of times you see bait fish there, because the bait fish are attracted to the cover of the pier. And you got to remember, you have a bridge overhead, so you've always got shade that's thrown off in the water there, which is attractive to it. So there's a lot of things that are attractive, to bass to be on bridge piers. Now, the best bridge pier fishing, in my opinion, are lakes that have a mixed species of bass, like a combination of spotted bass, largemouth, and smallmouth. Although you don't have to. I mean, I've done good, on straight largemouth lakes, but I like the lakes that have a mix of spotted bass and largemouth, because they both like to use that as well. The techniques that determine how you fish a bridge pier a lot of times are depending upon water temperature and water clarity. Probably my favorite lure to fish on a bridge pier is a small swim bait, like a little 2-inch, 2.5-inch Kitech, or a little megabass 3-inch spark shad. Those are killers because you can fish them through a lot of different water depths. And what I like to do is I like to cast, specifically around the shady side of the bridge piers, down the sides, down the front. They can be anywhere. They can fish on bridge piers. They can be on the up current side. They can be on the down current side. They can be on the sides of them. So you never really know where they're going to be positioned. So you have to fish around them a lot. But counting down that swim bait is a really good way to catch them. If the water has a little bit more stain, I like to fish a jerk bait. A walking top water, if you have clear water and the water's warm, is really good to catch them on it. And also a drop shot, a Demiki rig, something like that, or a wacky rig can be really, really good, again, depending upon the mood and the personality of the fish. So if I have a lake that I know there's some fish using a bridge pier, I probably rotate a lot of different baits. The first thing I do is come through there with my power baits like the swim bait and the jerk bait, and I try to pick off the aggressive fish. And then after that, that's when I'll go to like the drop shot or the wacky rig or the demiki rig and sort of get those fish that are a little bit more finicky. Now, another tip I'll give you on fishing bridge piers is don't just think you've got to cast right next to the pier. There are fish around those, but a lot of times the fish will be suspended away from those piers. So what I like to do is I like to graph between the piers. Like say for example, I'll graph between like the second pier on a bridge to the third pier, and I look for bait fish suspended out there under that bridge, because those fish will use that shade that comes off the bridge as cover, and a lot of times those fish will be suspended out there between the bridge piers in the shade, and that shade will change throughout the course of the day. It's like at 9 o'clock in the morning, your shade may be at this angle, and then it's straight underneath the bridge at noon, and then it changes, and those fish will follow that shade, and the bait fish will follow the shade. So that's especially productive like in real clear water lakes. If you have water visibility of over 5 feet, don't hesitate to look between those bridge piers. But a lot of it is timing too. These fish on bridge piers are highly educated for the most part. They get a lot of fishing pressure, and that's why a lot of it is just timing. You're up there and you catch a few when they're biting, they turn off, you maybe go somewhere else and come back a couple hours later and you can catch a few more. But they live there all the time. When those fish get out there on those piers, it's not like they're swimming back and forth, to the bank. They are hanging on those piers all the time, and they may swim away from them and get next to them and get inactive. But it's a fun way to catch them. And one of the ways I know how they get inactive is I fished a lot of bridge piers before. I've caught like 5 or 6 fish off a pier, and then I'll be like fishing a little drop shot or a demiki rig or something vertical underneath the boat, and I'll feel them bite it and they won't get it because they're down there just picking on it because they're smart, they're inactive. That's why you'll see that's one of the favorite techniques of guides on lakes is they'll go to those bridge piers and they'll fish like live crawdads and live night crawlers, and they'll catch those finicky fish. But don't pass them up, guys. Like I said, unless you have a muddy water lake, literally every bridge pier can be good. Most of the time also, if you have a bridge that has a lot of piers on it, the first 2 or 3 piers are going to be the best. And you don't hardly ever catch, if you have a bridge that has a bunch of piers all the way across the middle of the lake, very rarely will you catch fish all the way across the bridge. That normally those fish like to hold on those piers that are 2, 3, maybe 4 piers from the bank, regardless of the water depth. So anyway, hope it helps out, guys, and we'll talk later.